Welcome to the Eclectic Collection, or welcome back, or just hello, however you want to go. 67, episode 67 today. Tools to detect paranormal activity. Yeah, I said that out loud. Okay, so again, sticking with my creepy, spooky, crazy, and just weird stuff that I'm interested in. Everybody is all about ghost hunting right now. I can't say I've gotten a suit and signed up or anything, but in the Philly area where I'm from, you could go to Pennhurst Asylum. You could go to Eastern State Penitentiary. There's always nice big farms that have a cool hayride, and then at night it becomes spooky. But whether you're going to Hollywood Horror Nights and Universal Hollywood, or you're going to the ones in Orlando, or even SeaWorld and Shamu has a spooky night now, and Disney has not so spooky Halloween. Those are more on the fictional side of the plane. But if you go to a truly haunted place, or a place that was haunted, and there's fees that you can pay to stay overnight, or have a guided tour, or places that are allegedly haunted, or presumably have a ghost walk, or places like Gettysburg where there was a big event and a lot of lives sadly were taken in one spot. You see a lot more interest in that, and it used to just be ghost tours and maybe a pub crawl. Now you have so many shows on TV that Ghost Hunter this, and a long time ago, although I think it's come back around, but a few years ago there was a Penn State research. I think it was Penn State kids that went to Penn State, and they had the Paranormal Research Society. I don't know if it's still a thing. I'm sure it still is. It's never lost momentum, but I liked the guy that did that, and it was kind of neat. And they would go investigate places, and same thing, ghost hunters and whatnot, and there's celebrity accounts of this and that. So you could turn on cable and find 15 different things at any moment. But some of the things that they use are actually decent pieces of audiovisual equipment that are based in real life. And I just thought, for fun, funsies, you might want to know what they are. So EVPs are known as electro voice recorders. And, actually, the EVP itself is electronic voice phenomena is what an EVP is. And an electronic voice recorder is just a digital recorder that could record that. Now, they have that electronic voice phenomena is just basically phenomena meaning inexplicable noise, voices, static, etc., that shouldn't be there. Interference or sounds. Sometimes people walk in a room, ask a question, almost seemingly to the air, and then they'll just let it record for a bit. And then when they go back and edit later, crank up the volume, they may hear a faint yes or no, or get out, or whatever. There's a little bit of a play on this in Sixth Sense with Bruce Willis. He has the tapes on, and he's all stressed about the guy that came and shot him, Vincent, and he's playing the tapes over and over again. And at one point he got a call, and he left the room, and he left the tape recorder running. And when he comes back to the room, he had never listened to it, and he listens to it, and he hears Spanish. Actually, he hears "No quiero morir," I don't want to die. And he hears it in faint, language and very light in the background. And he cranks up the volume and plays it. And he's like, "Oh, I never caught this before," because who listens to the part where you weren't in the room? So that's what EVPs are. They're electronic voice phenomena. Things that aren't where they're supposed to be, and they're often picked up with the standard digital recorder or tape recorder in the old school world. The other thing that you might see are cross rods. Cross rods are kind of an old school. Well, they're very old school. They're almost back to Land of Witches and Warlocks. They're iron pieces. Sometimes they're just straight rods with a handle, and there's two of them. And the theory is that you put them out in front of you. I've seen this work in castles. I've seen people do this with older stuff. And again, it's more of an old school way of thinking in terms of hexes, curses, and spells. And people they walk around with one in each hand straight out parallel to each other. And if you hit a dead zone or a spot or something that's, a phenomenon that's negative and it's there, supposedly you inadvertently start crossing the two, into a cross, as protection against whatever it is that's there. So that instead of the parallel two wrought iron rods that you have, they almost start to fuse on their own as if against the holder's will, and they go into a cross. So can't say I've used them, but I've seen them, and I've seen them in use. And, again, you're kind of arguing, did you touch it? No, I touch it. Are you touching it? No, I don't touch it. It's one of those kind of things. Much same thing with the Ouija board. Did you move it? No, I didn't move it. But a lot of interpretation there. But if I've seen it where it's questionable, and I've seen it where it's immediate. So don't know. Another option that's equipment based, infrared cameras. Infrared cameras have been around for a while. Infrared generally lets you see temperature changes. You know, the old joke about vampires. If it's and you see this in Blade, you see this in John Carpenter's vampires. If they're very low body temp, then they are the undead. Zombies, same thing. So they don't have blood anymore, if you will. So therefore, their temperature shows up very cold. Spirits are said to be cold, and if you catch a cold spot that just won't seem to go away, or it's always cold in this one area, they often attribute it to like a dead zone, and it's a very cold thing. Even if you want to play on modern day like Twilight, the vampires are very cold to the touch. So cold factor plays in there. So infrared cameras can help you detect those people that don't seem to be people. Regular photos can play in there too, whether it's film cameras. I mean, you could certainly use DSLR cameras and digital cameras, but regular old photos in black and white especially, a lot of times you'll catch an orb, you'll catch photo orbs, you'll catch rings, you'll catch inexplicable light. Again, going back to Sixth Sense, when you look in the photos and the mom is sort of cleaning up one day and just looks at the son's pictures even as he's a kid, there's always this little halo or inexplicable orb behind him, or diffracted light behind him, and well, they come to find out that he's been around spirits all the time. Spoiler alert. So he sees dead people. So that's what that orb can be. And again, you can argue it's just light refraction in a weird way, certainly like as if it was in front of a mirror. But if you're in the middle of darkness, there's no mirror. EMF. So EMFs are electromagnetic frequencies. That's what EMF stand for. An EMF reader, which you could see in engineering and you could see in any kind of actual science, electromagnetic frequency readers will often give off, much like the Geiger counter of space, if you will. It's going to give you readings if there's something in that space. If a person is there, if there's any, people have electromagnetic frequencies. So you can argue that a person is electric, if you will, and has just a static balloon science class back in the day theory that there's static that comes off of you. If you cease to exist, that electromagnetic current dissipates and it goes, into the air or goes away, so that eventually the dead are left without it. So you wouldn't detect it. But if an EMF goes off in a place where there's not supposed to be, then, and there's nothing in it or empty space, then there's some current or soul supposedly, walking around, or something walking around. Interesting fun fact. They say that, I'm Roman Catholic, so they talk about last rites, and a lot of times, although it's called anointing of the sick, and the objective is to get to you before it's last rites, been there, done that, had it. Very typically, if someone passes, in my religion you call a priest. So with that, they will come and anoint the body. And if the person already passed, they'll come anoint the body and say prayers. Now, they often say that you have 45 minutes to get a priest there. Not that a priest wouldn't come, he would. But they say that if you passed within 45 minutes, that you should be anointed within 45 minutes. Not that they won't do the anointing otherwise, but supposedly that's the magic number that the soul is allegedly leaving the body, says EMFs and scientific readings. So if you argue that the EMF equates to an actual soul, I mean, obviously one's scientific, one's religious, it explains why in 45 minutes, that's sort of the hot spot time, if you will. It's like you're kind of still there. And if you think about it, that's how long about it takes, for rigor mortis to start setting in, bodies to start cooling off, and then, it's like the person's not there anymore. So there's definitely scientific support or evidence to the death process, but, how much you parallel that to religion is up to you. Spectrometer, if you will, but spectro literally and meter. So you're having a meter that looks up like a reading, if you will, from the spectrometer. So like literally, you could see the sound waves, light waves, any kind of disturbance in the force, if you will, and that could be visual, it could be audio, and generally speaking, they will give you some sort of like Geiger counter reading and let you know, is there something out there? Is there something you're hearing? Is there something you're seeing? Is there detection, static, noise? What's going on? So there's spectrometers involved. Motion sensors are very helpful. Just plain old normal motion sensors that you would get in your house. People use it for people. People use it to detect rodents. People use it to detect security situations. And just plain old normal motion sensors can be put in different places. And if they trip, why did they trip? What was out there? Did something walk in front of it? And if there was any kind of, again, disturbance in the force, even if it's not a physical being and something, brushed it, touched it, or if it was some sort of immense amounts of static that would set it off, you would see like a tripwire on your reader. Binary response device. This one's new to me. Apparently, these are yes/no. Like a yes/no answer situation where you can go. I think it's very similar to getting an EVP off a recorder, but there's actually a piece of gear that you can purchase where it's like a device that comes as a piece of equipment that you could put out. It records. You're asking questions constantly, presumably to the air or to whatever area, and that it'll actually. Yes, it's recording, but it'll actually flip like a green for yes and a red for no light, or it'll flip a needle that goes left or right, or whichever way, and gives you an answer. So I didn't even know that existed, but it's a quick way to, I guess, commune with or communicate with people that are passed. And last but not least, I didn't know this existed either. They call it a ghost box. So this is it scans radio frequencies for white noise. So it's just something you would put in the area, and it's essentially like a transistor but modernized, and it's just a piece of equipment, and it literally scans radio frequencies up and down for white noise anomalies, voices, different languages, things that you might hear. Of course you could hear nothing, but sometimes nothing has stuff embedded in it or behind it. So who knows? If you want to get fancy dancy, you can actually go purchase all this stuff off of a lot of different places. And there are people that stand behind different ones of these and say, get this one, or this brand's better. So if it's a hobby, I would say something you wanted to do, maybe borrow some stuff first, and don't go into debt trying to purchase these things. But they are available in all different places, and people are actually doing this. So maybe start with like a ghost tour. That's my 2 cents. But I've always enjoyed the topics, and I think it's funny. But there's actual equipment out there that you can buy and use if you want to ghost hunt yourself. So happy haunting and hunting. If you liked what you heard today, then check us out at theeclecticcollectionpodcast.com or listen on your preferred platform. I'm Terry Tenaglia. Thanks for listening.